Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to take another look at Oracle VM VirtualBox Manager, and specifically, I'm going to show you how to install CentOS on your virtual machine VDI or virtual disk image. Now, this video assumes that you've already downloaded the ISO for CentOS, have already created a virtual machine, and have some basic familiarity with the process or understanding of the purpose of virtual machines. So to begin with, we're going to hit start on our virtual machine that we wish to install. Make sure, for instance, you're not accidentally installing on top of an existing virtual machine. In this particular case, I have an empty VDI image that all I've done is format, and I've went ahead and mounted the CentOS 9 stream ISO. And you could tell that I've been able to do that because I'm now being prompted with the installation screen after going through the boot screen. So you can go ahead and skip the automatic boot timeout here by simply selecting inside or clicking inside the box for the installer and then hitting enter. You will notice one thing that's rather annoying that we will fix in a later video is that your mouse can actually get trapped inside of your Oracle VirtualBox instance. Again, we will fix that in the later video. For right now, we're just going to focus on the installation. The first thing that you're going to see is this verification of your ISO. I'm pretty confident that my ISO is not corrupt. I've used it in some earlier videos. You can also run a checksum against the ISO to verify that it is in fact not corrupt, or you can simply let it run through this medium check. Now, again, since I'm confident that this ISO is fine, I'm going to go ahead and escape out of the medium check so we can shorten this video up a little bit. You'll see a whole bunch of steps here. It's basically uncompressing some of its installer files. And in just a second, we're going to get a nice graphical wizard pop up that shows us how to install then CentOS. So let's give this just a second. I'm going to go ahead and get some of these notification windows out of the way. And you'll see, again, a nice graphical user interface that allows us to just simply go through the steps of our installer. Now, I'm going to keep this one pretty simple. I'm going to leave it with the default language of English, United States English. You can, for instance, add multiple language support to your CentOS. I actually do that occasionally just to have some fun practicing in other languages. We'll go ahead and hit continue. And there's a couple of steps that I want to go through that aren't specific necessarily to this virtual machine. Now, we're going to focus on the client that we're setting up here, and then we'll go through and look at the differences with other installations in later videos. But in general, the steps are pretty much the same. This wizard is very useful in doing a few things. Number one, it'll allow us for you to select the installation source. Now, in this case, we're using a local medium, but it turns out that you can actually use a streaming or a DVD as well. In this case, the only thing that we want to do is select the installation destination. Again, there is that 20 gig VirtualBox hard disk image that we created in our earlier video, the size of which may be larger or smaller depending on what you're trying to do. And you may also have additional hard disks. For now, this should be fine, as well as the automatic configuration. In other words, we're just going to let the wizard decide what partitions are going to be on this drive. At this point, you can just hit done. A couple of other things that you want to do is you want to go to the software selection. We are going to install this one as a workstation. We would like to have a graphical user interface. And we'd also like some basic tools like email, chat, and video conferencing software. Perhaps you're interested in playing around with the Office suite and productivity tools. It's always interesting to see what is provided as a comparison to, for instance, Microsoft Office. You can, for instance, remote desktop to your Linux machine, and so remote desktop clients may be of interest to you. Some of the console internet tools might be useful to you. Again, this is just your opportunity to work and to play around a little bit with Linux. I like to go ahead and install the development tools. In a later video, I may, for instance, show you how to download and install NetBeans, as well as the graphical administration tools and so on. So the idea is just pick some things that are interesting to you. And then once you've made your software selection, go ahead and select done. And really the only other important thing that you need to do is to go ahead and set up your root password. Now, because this is essentially just a test virtual machine, in other words, you aren't going to publish this on the internet or have it internet facing, you don't have to make this root password super secure. Although if this was a production machine, I would highly recommend that you do so. Again, since you're probably just playing around a little bit, learning Linux for the first time, encourage you to make this something that you can easily remember. And so I'm going to keep mine fairly simple. It seems to think it's strong, which is fine. And go ahead and confirm it. I will later on talk to you a little bit about SSH login, but for now, we will simply leave these two boxes unchecked, select done. And the other thing to point out that you could do at this point is you can go ahead and create new accounts in addition to your root account, but we will leave that then for a later video. And at this point, you can just select begin installation. And much like any other operating system install, this is going to take a little bit of time as it's copying the images from the source ISO to your virtual disk image. So I'll leave this run for just a few minutes, and then I will come back and we can talk about our next steps. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully that went smoothly and you didn't have any issues. Just a couple things before we close out this video. Number one is I would like for you to take a look real quick at that folder that we referenced in the earlier video. There's the VirtualBox VMs. You should now see your client-01, or at least that's what I named mine. You also see that 20 gig, at least in my case, that 20 gig or approximately 20 gig VDI image. As well as some log files and things along those lines inside the client-01 folder. Now, at this point, your virtual machine is installed. It is ready to be used. The only thing that's left to do, of course, is to reboot. And what we will do is I'm going to break this video up, and in the next video, I'm going to show you then how you can go through the setup wizard, I guess you could call it. In other words, the first use wizard, rather, to create a local account for yourself. And then we'll continue on with our CentOS installation. So as always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And hopefully you found this video useful. Thank you for watching.